The Stone Carvers Guild podcast is a part of the Stone Carvers Guild organization, which is a fantastic organization. Don't y'all agree?
Oh, yeah, it's great. And it's cheap, too.
It's well worth the price of admission.
It is, for sure. You can find out how to become a general member at stonecarversguild.org. There's a Get Involved section. And I've been a member of the Stone Carvers Guild since its inception. It's been an unbelievable resource as far as the knowledge. How did you describe it, Joel?
Oh, it's a living library of knowledge that the stone carving world otherwise is sort of hard to break into if you are looking around for it. I'm a general member. I'm not a full-time stone carver, but I love it from kind of a hobbyist, part-time perspective, but looking to learn more, and found that through the Stone Carvers Guild, through its forum, and through being able to connect easily with other like-minded folks like Bethany and Matthew.
Yeah. So if you want to be a general member, it's just $40, and you would have access to the resources, which include the forum, and then you can log on and you could ask Matthew questions on the forum.
Or anyone else.
Or anyone else.
And also there's the annual meeting, which I just love because once a year, getting together and sharing stories is an unbelievable experience. And that's something that's also available to general members.
Attend a general meeting or even become a professional member, which has other benefits as well. You just have to go to stonecarversguild.org and click on Get Involved at the top.
Join today.
Welcome to the Stone Carvers Guild podcast. Here you will meet a variety of carvers working throughout North America. Drawing on our collective experience, we seek to share knowledge about this ancient art and to do our part to ensure that stone carving will play an important role in built environments for generations to come. So whether you are an experienced carver, new to the craft, or just curious, put on your safety goggles, open up your mind, and welcome to the workshop.
All right, welcome to the Stone Carvers Guild. I'm Matt Johnson.
I'm Bethany Lee.
Joel Norwood. And that's Bethany Lee. I'm sorry, I don't even know what order we do that in.
We're still working on that intro. It's nice. I think it's kind of cool that we don't know how to do that yet. Bethany, I was just asking, our guest today is from Ireland, and I don't know how to say his name. Killian?
Killian,
all right,
yeah.
Killian O'Flaherty?
Yeah.
I do know how to say his name. How did you find him? What happened?
Several months ago, back when we first started the podcast, I think they reached out to me.
Oh, there he is.
Hello?
Just joined us. And Petra.
Good morning.
So Bethany was just telling us about how we got in touch with you guys.
I think, didn't you email me way back when we started the podcast?
I think so, but I think it might have been one of the ladies in the office that might have gotten in touch.
Yeah, and I think at the time I emailed them back and said, "Wow, that looks really cool. We're interviewing people from the guild, our senior members, but it would be really great to return to when we move like our nets further out. It'd be really cool to interview you guys." And anyway, so here we are. And I was poking around on your website this morning, and I know I sent you a list of potential questions, but I have more of them. For instance, about the fighting O'Flahertys and all of your history. So, yeah.
Ferocious O'Flaherty.
Oh, the ferocious. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Get it right.
Ferocious.
Get it right.
Yeah. So I don't know if Matt and Joel know how many generations is in your family of stone carvers. So can you tell us a little? Okay, you guys looked at the website. All right.
Thanks, Matt. Let's act like the audience doesn't know and let them tell us. First of all, guys, thank you so much for being here with us today. It's just such a pleasure to have
for sure.
Some of our, we're starting to get into these outside guests, if you will.
You're our first international guests, so that's really fun.
That's great. Yeah. Well, thanks, Bethany. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Joel, for having us. It's always great to connect with like-minded people, isn't it? At the end of the day,
yeah, absolutely.
Me and Petra are both a big believer that there's not enough of us do what we do, if you know what I mean. And I'm a firm believer that there is ample room in the market for more people to do what we do on a professional basis.
Absolutely.
Because a big issue is can only speak from Ireland's point of view, but a big issue that is a bone of contention, I suppose, for us is that there is plenty of work out there to raise a family and to pay a mortgage and to live the kind of life you want. I find there's a massive detriment in Ireland with not people looking to go into the trade itself of, you know, stone cutting or stone carving or stone masonry. I find the big loss is having enough employers that are willing to take the leap to take people on. I think that's a bigger issue. If you know, I don't know what it's like in the States, if you suffer from a similar issue or not.
It's similar. I think everybody in the United States is kind of just going at it on their own. Primarily, there are some large employers in like Indiana and some in Texas, but almost everybody else is just kind of a one man, one woman shop.
But I think in the U.S., maybe we're a little bit less organized than Europe, and that in general, the community here is very generous. That if you want to learn, you can get people to teach you and are very generous with information. But I mean, the truth is, yeah, if somebody didn't know anything and just wanted to go out and become an apprentice and learn on the job, I mean, if you were willing to travel, I suppose you could find something. But that's a good question.
So I want to ask: is the 8th generation family on your side, Killian, or on Petra's side?
Oh, we're brother and sister.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought y'all were married. I'm sorry.
What are you trying to insinuate here?
I know it's Ireland, but we're not that backwards. No, yeah, we're brother and sister. So Killian's my older brother.
Okay, got it. So this question is for both of you. Like, what is it, to me, that sounds like a tremendous amount of pressure to carry on a tradition that is that old. Is that something that y'all grew up feeling, or is that just?
So first of all, just to answer your question, it comes from my dad's side of the family. The 8th generation thing, and for me now, I don't think you did either, but I didn't feel any like crazy pressure. Like my goal when I was in school was I wanted to be a nurse, and like that was the path I was going down. There was no change in my mind. But it wasn't until Killian was building the workshop that we're in now that I like fell in love with it, and I was like, this is more than just building walls, you know. I always used to go to work with my dad and stuff, but like it was in that moment when I kind of decided like this is what I'm gonna do, and I made the change. And that was it.
Yeah, but there was no I never felt that either. Like myself, I went into we have the leaving cert here in Ireland, where you're essentially, it's like high school where you're in it until about 18 or so, and then you can go on to 3rd level education or do an apprenticeship, or get on with your life and whatever you want to do after public school. I went into architecture first, and I did 2 years in architecture. I tell a lie, actually I didn't do 2 years. I did a year and a half. In the second year I didn't go back after Christmas. I hated it. But it just wasn't, it didn't click with me. And like my father and my uncles and grandfather, like there was no pressure to go into it. And I think that's why we went into it, because it was always this cool thing that was going on. We knew about it. You grew up around it, but you were never underconfident to go into it.
Never.
And that's why I feel that's why we like it, because I do know a lot of stone carvers and stone cutters in Ireland and masons that they're in it, but their heart isn't in it. They're in it because their fathers did it or their uncles did it, and it's grand. It's such a job. It starts at 8, finishes at 5, and that's it. Right. Nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, you can be an accountant and be like that, or you can be a doctor or a postman. But I think I love what I do. It's I don't separate it from myself as a profession. It's I think it's very much at the center of my being. So, but I don't think that would have happened under different circumstances.
Yeah.
Because we chose it.
Yeah. Yeah, like I feel like if there was pressure, it would be the type of thing where you're like, I am not doing that.
Or you do the bare minimum.
Yeah. just to get by.
Yeah.
What's it like working with your sibling?
It's it's great actually. Like
Great when it's great when it's great, but
when it's not, it's not. Like, there's times obviously where we'll like get like annoyed at each other. I was gonna say ratty, but like it's not really a great thing to say. Like we'll get stressed at each other or whatever, but at the end of it, like it's your sibling and you get to just, keep going. You make up and
it works.
I actually do think it's a good dynamic though, because I do think we keep each other very balanced out as well.
And we're both easy going, so when it goes rough, it's very easy to step away 5 minutes and go, "Are we okay after that?" And then, yeah, we are. And it doesn't happen a whole lot. Bethany, you were about to say something there. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to ask. So on your website, it says that you're 8th generation stonemason, and I think it mentioned something about how you're a stone cutter.
Yeah, Ireland differentiates. Ireland kind of compartmentalizes the stone trade, whether it's carvers, cutters, or masons.
Okay.
It's very different compared to, like, let's say England. Whereas in England, stonemason is a general. It tends to be a more broader scope. Where I know stonemasons in England that they call themselves stonemasons, but they're banker masons. They're making architectural vernacular work, or they're stonemasons, but they're doing lettering, or they're stonemasons, but they're doing carvings. So it's a much more broader term. Where in Ireland, it's kind of compartmentalized. Where like historically, you never really stepped outside your box in Ireland.
Yeah,
like historically, you were just a stone cutter, or you were just a stone mason, or you're just a stone carver. Like for 30, 40 years ago, there was stonemasons who just polished.
Yeah.
All they did was polish stone. It would come from, let's say, either the banker masons or from a carver, and they would come in and they would just polish it to spec to whatever was done. So it's not like that now. Like even down to leather cutting as well, or leather carving, and there was guys who just did that. But it's much more
general.
Yeah, but not like a general. Not to make it a generalist game, if you know what I mean. But now
the learning part of
it. Yeah, everyone gets a better taste of it now. I also think because it's become a much smaller game as well, where you have to be able to do a bit more of everything. I don't think the craft or trade suffers for that, in my opinion.
So your shop does everything from build walls to
the only thing we don't do is countertops.
Okay.
I hate countertops. No, it's just because at the end of the day, like I would consider myself, like I worked. This was a bit of backstory here. When I went to do my apprenticeship, I served my apprenticeship with C. McAvoy and Sons in the last stone cutting company and quarry in Ballyknockan. I did a 5-year apprenticeship with them through Sullis in Kerry College. Sullis is essentially they're a branch of the Department of Education. They run the training programs for the apprenticeships in Ireland. But that's all of them. That's more mechanics, plastering, electrical apprenticeships. So the stone cutting and stone masonry module is based on a 7-stage block release system. It's the very same formula and printout as any other trade you can imagine or craft think of. And it's the 7 stages are 3 of them are in the college, and then 4 are with your employer. So my employer was with McAvoy's, and it was a wonderful apprenticeship. I managed to learn an awful lot in a very short space of time, because you were working not just on prestigious projects and good work, but you were also working specification where you were given a drawing on a Monday, or whatever you were giving, templates, models. You were given it on a Monday, that has to be ready by Thursday, or that has to be ready in 4 weeks' time. So I'm a big believer in that, in working specification. It's not pressure, it's pace. You're working in a realistic market. But what I was getting back to is I about the countertops is the McAvoys, they didn't really do countertops because it wasn't specialist enough for them. But the odd one would come in the odd time, it suited them, and you would do it. And like I got a lot of good experience. I consider myself a very good stone polisher. But the problem with being stone polishing is a couple of weeks and you have it figured out. So and let that, you know what I mean? Like, especially it's different if you're polishing. It's different if you're doing a carving and you're mixing textures and finishes.
Sure.
But with countertop is just one finish, and it's 8 stage or 9 stage, whatever. I hated it because there wasn't, not that there isn't skill in it, there is, but there's not the same level of earning of skill with it. at the end of the day, and they're awkward and they're heavy, and if they break, it's just no. That will be the one thing we don't do. We do not do countertops.
And imagine trying to get them through somebody's front door.
Imagine I'd done it. Oh, God, I have saved you such hassle. But that'd be the only avenue. Yeah, we do. Like, we would repair walls if it comes in, but it wouldn't be the bulk of our work, if you know that kind of way. I would consider us good generalists, if you know what I mean. But we all have our own little niches that we like to do. I would love architectural, vernacular banker masonry work, workshop work.
Yeah.
What I like, but the on-site work is good too.
I like a mixture of both. Like, I really like when you can just like put your headphones on and work on something and you're making something that's great. But I also kind of like being out on the road with the team and building the walls. I actually really enjoy building walls.
Yeah.
I agree that the banker masonry is a big thing.
Yeah, a change is as good as the rest, I find sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's the letter cutters here? Both of you?
Both me and Petra. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Letter cutting is Joel's.
That's where my fancy lies. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I find there's no room for distraction with letter cutting. I'm sure you find, Joel, you have to get into that tunnel, because I found it, like, since I started my company now, like, I think there's 7 of us full time in the company now, and it's I find letter cutting is one of the, let's call it a service. At the end of the day, it's one of the services that we provide that I find very difficult for me to do now, because you get up and you go to work at 8, but then suddenly emails come in, the phone starts ringing, or you're dealing with other projects that the team's working on. And I find, like, when you get into that zone when you're cutting letters, and, after a letter or two, suddenly, let's say I'm cutting a letter in granite and it takes an hour to cut a letter, or it takes 40 minutes to cut a letter, or whatever it is. Suddenly, after 2 or 3, you're getting down from 40 to 35 minutes a letter, or you're getting down to 32 minutes a letter. The more you do, you're in the zone, you're in that tunnel, you're focusing. Well, I find it just takes a phone call or an email to take you out of that.
You're totally spot on, and I've been dealing with that this week in particular. And I so appreciate hearing that perspective from someone else, and knowing I'm not just crazy or terrible at bringing myself back into the.
Because you can't. At the end of the day, like, a lot of people would often say to you, like, what happens if you break a piece in stone?
You don't.
And it's the case of you don't. But there are, like, I have done banker masonry work where a corner will come off. Let's say it's a bit of external molding, and a corner will come off, and you're like, oh God. But you can do a graft indent repair. I believe in America they're called Dutchman repairs. You can do that, but, like, you can't do. We call them like a graft indent repair.
A graft, okay.
A graft, yeah, graft. But I do know stateside, it's a couple of guys from Canada. They call them Dutchmans. But, like, you can't. Not that you can't do that with lettering, but it's just easier to be good. Not to be good, but it's really easier to just be focused in and just don't make the mistake in the first place.
Yeah.
But take it seriously. Get in there. But I find it's very difficult when you're pulled away from it and you're suddenly taken away from it, and you come back, and it can be frustrating. So that's tricky managing that between being a business owner and also being a craftsperson.
Sure.
Even a tea break though, if you're letter cutting, like,
yeah, you're always that. It takes 5 or 10 minutes to get back into it. Like,
yeah,
you
have to be in the zone.
Yeah.
And you said how many people are in your shop right now?
There's 7.
Wow. And so
now,
can you tell us?
Two of that is admin staff.
Oh, okay. But the working team. So can you tell us any stories? Like, okay, what would be an archetypal story of something that you all made to get? Like, I was going to say, like, you and Petra and Killian, you two. Can you tell us a story of something that you made together that you feel like is, like, classic archetypal work that you do together? But then I'm thinking, well, your shop is bigger than that. Yeah. Can you tell us a story about what's one of your favorite projects that you've done, and what was it out of, and what was the process like? And
you know what? I think one of our favorite projects at the moment is it's a relatively recent project, and it's a personal one because it's a close to home one. Go on, Petra, tell Bethany there.
So there's a line up outside the quarry from Stormont Castle, and that's where it was going. And when they were bringing it into Dublin on the horse and cart, they realised the main was too small, was it? And it was taken off the cart, but it was left on the side of the road, and it was left there for, like, years, like a long, long time. and the lads in the quarry decided, like, well,
It was rejected essentially because it was meant to be a male lion, and but
Meant to be a what?
a male lion.
A male lion. Oh, God.
Yeah, like with a mane, with a mane.
Got it.
And the problem is though that wasn't relayed to the stone carver that was working on it. And what did he do? He made it without a mane, a female lion, so it was slender on the neck.
Oh, okay, got it.
So it was rejected, and the stone was kind of laying idle in Ballyknockan, in the village where we're from, for well over a century. Now over the years, stonemasons have come out and prop it up and do a bit of maintenance on it. But ourselves, we kind of had this idea. My father actually had kind of mentioned the idea. He had the idea in passing, and our father, Terence, he's a stonemason as well, and he's a real he's great ideas, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's very artistic.
He's great. He's a great muse now. He comes up with these great ideas, but anyway, he it's a funny one. He came up with this idea that you should do something up there with the lion and make something more permanent. So what we decided is we went to the McAvoys. I had my own company at this stage, and I went to the McAvoys and said, "How about we make something for the lion and take it up out of the ground?" Because it was subsiding in the ground. Like, this is a massive piece of stone. Like, this piece, the lion itself is 6 foot long by 4 foot across by 3 and a bit foot high, I'd say. The lion, and it's kind of in like a sphinx pose. Like it's lying down. It's sitting down.
Okay.
If staring forward, and we kind of fleshed out an idea between ourselves and the McAvoys of making a plinth base underneath it. But a vernacular style plinth piece with architectural moldings on it, because it's it essentially is an architectural piece. So we wanted that to relate to the lion, but at the same time without it being too decorative, taking away from it, because we didn't want that being any more detailed. But we made it, and it was I think was it
3 middle pieces.
No, we had a string course on the bottom of it. It had 3 courses, but it had a string piece on the bottom that had 4 pieces, and then it had 3 blocks in the middle, and then the string course at the top was reversed with the molding up, and then the lion sat on it. But it's an absolute fabulous job we did, and the McAvoys supplied the stone, which if you were to buy it, the architectural cut grade stone would cost maybe 7 or 8 grand, 7 or 8 thousand euro for the stone. They donated the stone, and we donated the time and labor in making it, putting in the molding and tooling it, and fitting it, doing the concrete and all that. And we did it for National Heritage Week, and it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant, and it's there forever.
It's never
like the concrete job we did on that. We put in 2 separate steel cages and welded them together, and then put in the forms and poured the concrete. And as as one of the guys in the team says, if that ever sinks, I'll eat me right out. But the concrete we put in is completely over engineered. But at the same time, historical masonry is always over engineered. That's why it's still standing 1,000 years later. So it's not like we're trying to reinvent the wheel here.
Don't fix what's not wrong.
Don't fix what's not. Yeah, but our attitude is we enjoyed it because it was close to home.
You see it all the time.
Yeah, you see it all the time.
Cool.
Especially with Ballyknockan, like the village we're from is the Granite Village. It's the skeleton of Dublin. I mean, all of the ecclesiastical vernacular buildings in Dublin, in old Dublin city, any of the public buildings or national monuments are all built out of this granite, and it's a fabulous granite, Ballyknockan granite. Like, we might be, but we're obviously going to be biased to it and say it's the best granite in the world, but at the same time, we don't sell it. Like the quarry sells it, so we're able to sit here and say it's a great granite to work with, but there's no self-interest in it for us to say that, because it's a fabulous stone to work.
Wow.
The Wikipedia page about Ballyknockan implies that the quarries are all closed.
That's out of date.
It's out of date.
Yeah.
So were they closed and now they're opened again?
The McAvoys, it was owned by I can't remember what were their names. It was owned by another family, and they were in Dublin, but they didn't. Credence. Yeah. It was Credence Quarry, but they closed it like in the late 90s. But the McAvoys were kind of still going. The McAvoys had their own quarry. They had their own cutting yard in Ballyknockan, where I did my apprenticeship, and they would get stone from there, loose stone, and they would get it from elsewhere. But they bought the quarry. Let's say 3 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, they bought the quarry and they reopened it, and they moved their entire operation, all the primary and circular saws, secondary salt. They moved everything over to that quarry and set it up there. And they've a great setup up over there now. I'm not sure. I think they might have 6 or 7 employees there in the quarry. But it's going really well for them. It's great, and it's the thing about it is Ballyknockan is this kind of a place historically that it's got a lot of history and all, and it's great to be tapped into the history. It is, and I'm a big fan of history. But what I love about the Ballyknockan story is it's living history. It's a continuing page. Like me and McAvoy's are continuing to quarry stone and work stone, and they're like ourselves. They're stone cutters as well. They're banker masons. So they're making windowsills, doorways, surrounds. They're doing sculpture work. It's a continuing thing. Ourselves have our own little place in that, but it's just another page. And it's a what's the word? It's not just heartening, but it's a warm feeling to kind of think that it's going to continue to be turned. You're not this Venus's kind of backward specimen or this Neanderthal that works with this material that there's not many people in it anymore. No, what are you talking about? There's not many people. Our best days are ahead of us, not behind.
Wow.
So I hope I haven't gone off on a tangent there.
No, I'm curious. So the Ballyknockan granite is that, most of Dublin is built with it. Is that correct? Like it's primary building stone for
yes,
Dublin?
there's a massive vein of granite that comes up. Wicklow it's on the border of Dublin. It's on the east coast. And it's there's a massive vein of granite that kind of comes from the southeast through Wexford, and it runs up through Carlow, and then it runs through Wicklow, and then goes into Dublin, and then goes into the sea. And it's funny because there's essentially 3 areas of granite. There's the Carlow Wexford area, then there's the Wicklow area, and then there's the Dublin area. So the Carlow and Wexford granite, it's soft. It's a very red granite. Now it's not red, but that's kind of the terminology we would use.
What does that mean?
It's got a lot of iron in it.
Okay.
It has maybe kind of like a light orange red hue off it. But it's very biscuity. You can't do detail with it. It's like top rock. It won't take detail for carving or for architectural work. Gotcha. But it's good for like basic ashlar work, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. But then there's the opposite. There's Carlow, Wexford at the bottom. Then there's Dublin, Wicklow in the middle, and Dublin at the top. But the Dublin granite is the polar opposite. It's a very bright granite. It's almost got like a blue hue off it. It's white. It's a silvery granite, but it's got nearly a tiny blue hue off it, especially when it's sawn, when it's cut fresh. And it is iron. It is so hard. It's actually that hard. It's nearly sometimes like working glass, because it's so hard and so tough that it doesn't take an edge well. It's hard to put really detail in it. And what is there? Bang, smack in the middle of both hard and soft is Wicklow, is Ballyknockan. So I find that the Ballyknockan is the best because although it's tough and it's hard, it holds its form, it holds an edge very well. You know what I mean? So I find it's the best. It's the best granite to use. But I'm going to be biased because I'm from the village, if you know what I mean. But I've worked all granites in Ireland, and it is the best for me.
And also, like, not only is it workable, it's strong. Like, even though like it's not too hard like the Dublin granite, like it will work
constantly.
Yeah, and it will hold. The pieces won't break off or chip off easy. Like it's not like Portland or something. It's not like very delicate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You can do a lot with it. As granites go, you can do an awful lot with it. You know, a lot of granites tend to be like the Dublin granite. It's really hard, and it's just, you can't do a lot with it. You don't get great contrast on it when you're mixing textures, but you can do a lot with the Ballyknockan.
And I was reading a little bit about the Wicklow Mountains, and actually it's interesting because I come from the Appalachian Mountain region, and they're considered cousin ranges, geologically related, because it's sort of this big piece of geologic history that reaches, up into your region. So it's neat to feel related in a way to this.
They're all a little bit nutty up there as well, Eddie.
So on your website, under the page on sculpture, stone carving, there's a picture of a sculpture of a hand. Would that be Ballyknockan granite? There's a hand holding a mallet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, do you know what that is actually, Bethany? That's I have to give a bit of a backstory here. That stone was for our workshop. It was part of a arch, a 14 stone arch, as the keystone. Have you seen? Have any of you seen the photo of that arch?
No. Is it on your website?
I don't think it actually is on the website.
Do you know what I'm gonna have to do? I'm gonna have to. There's only while we're chatting here, I'm gonna get my phone and I'm gonna send some photos to yourself.
Send us some pictures.
WhatsApp, and you can send it to. Is it Joel and Matthew Witcher? Are they?
Matthew's the deep voice. Joel is the other one.
The high voice. I saw where that was
I
going.
didn't have a good adjective, Joel.
Yeah, if you send them to that email group, that'd be great. And then we'll also post it in the show notes for those listening to the podcast. Follow along.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stone is
It's the keystone.
It's a keystone, yeah. And I actually have a really good photo. I'll send us as well. I had to. I made a model for. I obviously made a model for it in clay, and
Right.
I did actually. I used. Was it what? Is that wax we used? Oh, I used wax on that.
No, that was clay.
It was clay, yeah. But it was I prefer. Yeah, sorry, it's clay because it was. I like using monster clay for any molds, because you can reuse it. It's not like the plaster of Paris or it breaks down, that kind of way. But it's it was a really nice job. But it's the centerpiece. It's the keystone in that arch. It's a 14 stone arch, 2 springers keystone, and then the voussoirs either side. But it's a 5.4 meter span. Well, I'm not sure how you are with metrics, but that's pretty big in terms of feet.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
It's. I'm gonna send you the photo now. Bethany, I've just sent that to you there now.
And the material is the Ballyknockan granite?
Yeah, that's Ballyknockan granite.
Okay, okay. I just wanted to get a picture in my mind of what that looks like.
Yeah,
cool. Send us the
I
photo.
made that. I wasn't long making that, was I?
No.
I think I made the model. It's larger than life size. But I remember I ran out of clay when I was making the model holding the hammer, so I just got the biggest. I think I got the end of a sledge and just shoved it in around the hand because I didn't have enough clay. I didn't have enough clay to make the hammer, so I just got. You'll see in the photo, the hammer is not to scale of the hand. It looks like a ridiculous. Looks like a little
Oh, got it.
but it did the job at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really nice. I think it's about 5 inches in relief. I don't know, maybe 6 at the top of the hammer. But I made that pretty. I wasn't not making that. I think I made that in a week or so, roughly. But that wasn't including making templates or anything or drawings. But yeah, it's a lovely piece of stone, and like it's a massive arch. Like them stones, it's I don't know what 5.4 meters. Well, 4.8 meters is 16 foot, isn't it? So you're talking the span of the arch is over 20 foot, I'd say.
Wow.
So and the stones themselves are 20 inches deep by roughly, I don't know, 20 inches high, and probably 12 to 14 inches wide. So never mind their width by height, they're thick, they're solid, they're through, if you know what I mean. And on the photo, it's probably, I'm shocked that photo wasn't on the website. The arch, it's there's an inscription, and it's done in relief. And the inscription reads, from left to right, by hammer and hand do all things stand, with the keystone being the hand holding the hammer. And the reason for that is I wanted to use, that was an inscription, it's a stonemason's motto. And I wanted to use it some way in the building, in the workshop when we were doing it up over the years. And I wanted to incorporate some way. And I was planning on doing it like maybe over a lintel somewhere, over a single door. And during my apprenticeship, I can talk about this a little bit more in a while, but during my apprenticeship with Tom Little down in Kerry, I was explaining to Tom Little the history of the building, our workshop. Like, it was purpose built in 1829 to service the 200 horses and the 60 to 70 carts that would bring the stone from Ballyknockan to Dublin, because it was big business. And it was a blacksmith's forge traditionally. And I was telling Tom this, and I was vomiting all the information, telling him the history of the place and how I wanted to use this motto. And Tom leaned into me at the end and says, "Do you know that's not just a stonemason's motto?" And I went, "Okay." And he leaned into me closer. He says, "It's also a blacksmith's motto." And the building was an industrial blacksmith's forge. And that's when I was thinking about it for like a day or two, and I went, "Fuck this, I'm going all out. I'm gonna all out. I'm gonna put it up with the main arch." And I did the inscription. I did the lettering in relief. So they're 1.5 inches in relief off the granite. It's not V-cut like.
I really like that lettering, because not only did you do it, you raised it, you also put a slope into it. It looks
there's
like.
A taper on it. It tapers.
Yeah, that is really cool.
It tapers from 1.5 inches down to 3/4 inch, because the whole idea was I wanted to use shadow. You know yourself, when it comes, shadow's your friend.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
and I wanted the sunlight. It's so, I actually realized this afterward. It's actually brilliant. I wanted the sunlight to cast shadow on the negative space over the inscription, and it does, and it looks great. But you want to see it at night. You want to. It looks magnificent in the moonlight.
Is it
Nice.
lit artificially or only?
No,
only...
no, I don't have any lights beaming up. I know I do have lights beside it, but they kind of shine down. They don't kind of light it up too much. But the inscription looks fabulous in moonlight because it also highlights all the negative space. But you can see all the mica in the granite glistening.
Oh,
It's like if you stand and just move your hips or sway to the left or right, you can see it, the twinkling. If you know what I mean, it looks.
wow.
I'm not going to do it justice saying it here, if you know what I mean. You have to kind of see it, if you know what I mean.
Killian, can I ask you on that? So I see the textures that you put on there for the joints to grab the mortar, all the cross hatching.
Oh yeah, you've got it.
Yeah, but then you've got like, would you call that a rusticated finish? The part that actually shows, like, what is that finish?
Yeah, so as you're looking at each stone, the inscription, the letters they're actually not polished. I think I honed them. They're kind of like a 400 grit. I didn't want something shiny because I didn't want it looking new, if you know what I mean. You kind of it was the building is 200 years old. I didn't want this new shiny thing, so it's kind of more of a matte finish on I think it's like around maybe a 200 grit finish on the actual inscription, and then on the foreground, and then on the background that's a punched finish. Because if you look,
how do you create that?
With a pitcher on a punch and a 2-pound hammer.
Mm.
So you were taking a punch for each and just breaking the stone off.
Yeah, taking a half
controlled way.
Taking a half inch off. Yeah, but when I was cutting each stone, you know, I used angle grinders to cut around
Sure.
the inscription. You know, used 9-inch angle grinders, dropped to 4-inch, dropped to die grinders, dropped to pneumatic tools, down to chisels, and then, you know, whatever hand rubbings or whatever had to be done, or hand work, you know. But and then put the finish on then. So it's it worked out well. And like you see on the bed joints there, like you can see the way it's cross hatched. You can actually see that there's a 2-inch strip all around. That's for keying and scoring. So the bed in beside that is all dropped, you know, maybe 1/16 of an inch, if you know what I mean. And it's all because it's all built in lime. Like we didn't use any cement or anything. Like and the lime also, the lime is not NHL, it's hot lime or quick lime. So
tell me what that means.
About the hot lime.
Yeah.
Yeah, so lime is I'm not gonna presume or act as if I'm an expert on lime, but there's a massive amount of literature we can all find online. But we've worked a lot with it, and the lime that we use is quick lime, a kibble lime. What is it? It's essentially limestone that has been burnt at 9 to 1200 degrees, and then slaked and crushed, and then bagged, and then all the moisture's been taken out of it. So then when you use a mix with a sand and you add water, it rehydrates, so it's essentially turning back the stone, essentially. But it's not like an NHL. There's no it's not that there's not any properties put into it, but it's just raw limestone that's been burnt and crushed. And that's what we used. And it's a traditional mortar. There's no chemicals. There's no imported material with it. Like the sand we used was the sand we used for all the masonry work to be built in the arch and all the construction. The sand was from Blessington, a local town, 10-minute drive away. The lime is from Cloggrennan in Carlow. So it's Irish lime, it's Irish sand. The stone is from Ballyknockan. It's a 12-minute walk from where we're sitting right now. You know, not that I'm trying to push, you know, the kind of the conversation about being green and about the environment, but it was a more common sense approach. Didn't want to use it. I didn't want to use any foreign materials. We cannot stand the idea of using Chinese granite in Ireland. It's a massive, massive problem, and it ruined stone carving. It ruined stone cutting. It ruined stone masonry in Ireland from the 70s up to 10, 12 years ago. Because what happened? All this stone was coming in from abroad. And don't get me wrong, like the Chinese are great makers. I've seen the work they did with stone. They're brilliant makers. But they were bringing in this material that the Chinese... I'm not sure if this is still in place, but I'm pretty certain that there was a trade agreement in where the Chinese could bring in the stone. They would pay for the diesel and the shipping of the stone, and the Irish government would allow it in tax-free. It was something to do with some kind of trade deal where they were getting something out of us, we were getting something out of them. But the problem is, my trade, my craft suffered massively because suddenly you had this material that was being brought in, worked cheaply in that country, and being brought in for next to nothing. So what happened? There was no making going on. And if there's no one's making anything, so if no one's not making anything,
No jobs.
not even no jobs, there's no one being brought in and doing apprenticeships. So that's where you end up with this massive gap where you've like a lot of the really good stone cutters and stonemasons in Ireland or carvers are around their 80s. And then there's a massive gap of age between like there's not that many floating around who like not that there's loads of people who go into the craft without doing an apprenticeship, but there was no apprenticeship to give. There was no training to give because the work wasn't there. But things are a lot better now. Things are much more positive now. And a lot of that is down to the work that, you know, Kerry College have been doing and promoting the trade, promoting the craft and getting people into it to serve their time properly, to do a 5-year apprenticeship and learn the correct way. Don't get me wrong, you can go into a trade without an apprenticeship and you can learn, but there's a lot to be said for learning on site and on the job in the realistic world where you're problem solving, but then when to go to a college based, then you've got the time to learn and to mess up, and then well, that's how you do it, you know. So it's funny, like I always thought for years that Ireland didn't have a lot of training, or not training, but didn't have the same infrastructure that, let's say, England had, or the broader Europe, like France or Germany or Italy or Spain. But like, it's only when you kind of, and no offense, but when you kind of speak to like anyone stateside, it's actually it seems to be a lot worse in America for kind of the training base compared to Ireland. So that was a surprise, like, you know, with the more kind of Americans I've got to talk to, where like, I don't know how many stonemasons, stone carvers I've talked to, but like you can't really get training in it. There might be a few colleges here and there, but it's not like a craft.
You said you have a relationship with Joseph Kincannon and the American College of Building Arts, and you said you're having a couple of apprentices come this summer. Is that correct?
We have them with us at the moment. We're having breakfast with them.
Tell us about how do you know the eight? I always get the acronym wrong. Anyway, how do you know the American College of Building Arts? And
they're the American College of Building Arts in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm sure you know them or have heard of them. So the college got in touch with us about taking on an intern through an externship, or they're probably actually called an extern as opposed to an intern. Yeah. So we've had one last year, and we have two currently with us at the moment. They're 4 weeks into their externship with us, Grace and Andrew, and they're both getting on really great. They're working on a continuous assessment piece, which was kind of a little project between ourselves and the college with Joseph and Christine. I wanted to do something a little bit different. Rather than just bring interns over and have them working with you 5 days a week and dogging them and just getting the most out of them you can, we kind of wanted to do a little social experiment. We wanted to kind of take a piece of stone, a vernacular piece of stone. It happens to be that they're making a plinth base off of a cluster column, a compound pillar. What is that? It's the base stone of a column that connects the aisle to and a nave in a cathedral or a small chapel or an abbey. But it's structural. They're working on a 2-foot cube piece of stone in Ballyknockan granite. And we worked on the molds and on the templates. They made all the templates here. They have the shafts all done and all the molding done up. And then they have the centerpiece then in. They've got about 16 barrel moldings have to be put on. Now, I'm not talking about barrels as in cables going up. They're doing essentially like, you know, a bell detail that you'd see under a capital.
A what detail?
We call it a bell detail.
Yeah.
It's like do you know the way you'd see like a column with loads of shafts or barrels running up, and then like let's say you have the column, the springer, which will be the top of the capital, and then they might have a molded detail on top of each barrel. Well, they're doing the bottom plinth base piece. Do you know what I'm going to have to do? Our viewers are going to go mad. I'm going to send you a few photos, Bethany. Everyone can. The couple of people that
them like I said on the website with the podcast. So
yeah, but they're making that one piece of stone, and they've 8 weeks to make it, and they'll be doing well if they make that stone, won't they?
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, they're so nice. They're really, really nice.
Oh yeah, they're salt of the earth.
They're a pleasure to use.
Mm.
Oh, wonderful.
Like all Americans. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I have an updated photo of Grace and Andrew where they are with it, but I'm gonna send you the details now. But it's a really cool piece of stone. But it's
A
the what?
post-externship interview with them would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that would be really interesting.
Hopefully, don't sound bad.
Right. You can tell us if you.
They're like, wait till we're out of Ireland.
Yeah. I know they're lovely, and they have. I tell you one thing, they're doing the college very proud because they've come over here. Expectation has been set. And one thing I wanted to do, one thing that I got straight with them before they came over was, look, you have to take ownership of your own time here. At the end, if you want to get something from this, you have to apply yourself to it. You've got full use, like where they're right beside we're living a 60-second walk from the workshop. And it's going really well for them. And they've all their own tools, their own grinders, they made all their own templates, and they're really getting stuck in. And it's an encouraging thing to see. Like Grace is 19 and Andrew's 25, and you don't have to hound them. They know the stakes, they know why they're here and what they're working on. And they understand they've got this opportunity to work on something that, not that they won't work on again, but like they're out in many ways. Like I remember when we were talking about this with Joseph and we were designing it, like, and the whole idea was they were kind of out with their depth working on a piece of stone like this.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole idea is to be out with your depth, because that's, when you get when you get uncomfortable, that's where the magic sometimes happens. When you're working on something that, I don't know if I can make this. Well, we're going to find out, at the end of the day. And they were involved in the process completely. We worked, like for 2 weeks, they worked on literally scale drawings, changing the drawing, changing the design. Then when they got that done, then they made their top molds, their templates. Then like they started their stone, and like they nearly have it done where they're in a position where they can start the bells, the molds. So they'll pull back and they'll make the reverse molds. Then they'll probably take 2 or 3 days to make the reverse molds. Then they can tackle that. So it's
exciting time.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. And the whole idea is like, what are they doing this for? We've kind of had a conversation with the college where we don't really know what we're going to do with the stones, but there is an option there that if we could do this over the next, maybe 7 to 10 years, 8 to 10 years, suddenly you're in a position where if you can make 4 plinth-based pieces, and these stones are 2 foot cubed, they're big stones. And then suddenly if you make X amount of shaft pieces running up, which are fairly straightforward, like let's say you made 30 of them each, all off, or let's say 20 each, and the bed joints are all a foot each. Suddenly you're in a position where you've got the beginnings of a vaulted ceiling.
Oh, cool.
So that's kind of what we're kind of thinking of. Like the plinth pieces are the most ornate, and then obviously the springers, which are them in reverse, the capitals. Like the shafts, like I mean this when I say you would knock them out because they're only straight runs. They'd be made very quickly. So suddenly, you'd be in a position where once you have the capitals made, you could make ribs and connect it and have a keystone in the middle there. And that we've kind of Joseph and the college is open to the idea of working on this for the next 8 or 10 years, and suddenly maybe either erecting something here in Ballyknockan or transporting the stone over to America and putting it in the college. Who knows?
That'd be really cool.
We're
actually build something.
Yeah, we're not getting tied up on what we're going to do with it. It's a case of let's make the thing and then let's see what happens.
That's awesome.
But I think it's a really good way to do an externship because there's a certain amount of the earn and learn where the students are kind of doing a day or 2 a week working with us in the company where they get to make a bit of money. It's not a lot, but then they're in a position where they can work on something where they would not get that access normally, that kind of way. So they're getting the result. I think it's going really well.
I think they bring a great energy to the workshop as well.
Yeah, their mindset is very good. And they're a credit to the college, and what the college is doing is it's really interesting what they do. And I think that the only type in America, you might be more in tune with that than we are now.
Yeah, we had Joseph Kincannon as, I think he was our first guest, right?
He was our guinea pig. Yes.
I'm pretty sure that is the only college that's like really 100% committed to traditional building arts in the United States.
And it's the only official stone carving program where you can go and study for a few years and call yourself a stone carver, right?
Listening to Killian talk about it is making me think that we should start our own carving school. Because it sounds.
I don't know if that was Matthew or Joe. I think, but don't get me wrong. I am I have an apprentice, Petra now. Petra's qualified now in the next couple of months. She'll be qualified. She'll have her 5 years done or 4 years. Like we're taking another apprentice on then as well. Although I like to take apprentices on in a realistic setting, in a work setting. Me and Petra, we don't really like to do workshops. I don't like to do 2-3 day workshops.
Yeah.
And I'm not an elitist. I think it's great to engage with the general public and to show people what's involved and how we do it. But I think it's important for working professionals to take responsibility for the future of their craft and their trade. To kind of put our hands up and say, "Oh, there's no one going into it. No one, it's hard to get young people to go into it." That's BS. No, that's bullshit. I'm gonna say you can edit it out if you want. You can edit it out if you want. It's bullshit. There is, I remember seeing a saying about Ireland. Our best commodity or our best resources are youth. And there's loads of people who want to go into it, whether they're young or old. It's having that facility for working professionals who will bother their ass to take on an apprentice. Yeah, take them on for 5 years, and they might stay with you for another year, and then they might leave you. They might become competition, but so what? Like the incentive of taking on an apprentice is the thing itself to pass it on. I mean, I remember Tom. I haven't really spoken with Tom Little yet, but Tom Little is the stone cutting and stone masonry instructor in Kerry College. He's essentially like Joseph. He's that same role. And Tom is the only instructor for the last 30 years or so. More. Tom's been training since I was born. Never mind that. Since 89.
In the entire country, like.
Yeah. And he's an employee of the Department of Education, if you know what I mean. And Tom said Tom's a fab, he's a great stone mason, great stone cutter, great stone carver, but he's also, I think his main thing is he's a fabulous human being, if you know what I mean. And he said, I remember Tom on our first day, when I was registered as an apprentice in 2014 or 2015, whenever it was, our first day in Kerry, we all got registered. He met us up in the foyer of the building. We all got registered, brought us down to the workshop, and there's a drawing room upstairs where you can do all your theory work and your drawings. And Tom sat us down. We all sat down for the whole day. And when I say whole day, it was like, I don't know, 10 o'clock to 2 or 3. And we all just had a round table conversation. Who are you? Why are you here? Where do you want to go? And I remember Tom said a great thing to us all in there, and it always stuck with me. He said, lads, it's like this. I'm the water. Use it as a sponge, but it's up to you to soak it up. But remember one very important thing. The safest hands are our own. If the trade, if the craft, the art, whatever word you want to use for it, if it's going to move forward, it's down to the people in this room. It's down to the people coming into it. And there's no greater compliment for a maker, for their apprentice to go past them, to be better than them. And you don't need to explain that. You know exactly what that means. Like, what more do you want? Like, what's the point in getting good at something and doing really well? Like, yeah, beyond the normal thing you chase, money, maybe a bit of prestige and doing good work. But like, yeah, they're predictable things to get. How can you not take pride in what you do? I mean, imagine you're a lawyer or a solicitor or a barrister and you love it, you live for it. You want to change how the law works. You want it to be more, you want more justice in it. So you want to take people on who are like-minded and who want that. Or you could be, you could be a horse trainer and you don't like how the industry is. Well, you want to change it. You want to bring people in, people like-minded who will carry it on. Because you've only got 30 or 40 years at this and then you're done. Or hopefully, like I'm hoping to to clock out in the workshop. All things going well. Yeah, or whatever. But I really mean that, or I mean that by like what Tom said. Who doesn't want to take an apprentice on? Who doesn't want it to continue and to be better than you found it? And I just feel doing 2 or 3 day workshops and charging people X amount of money for that, although it does engage the general public and it's a grand way to make a bit of money, it doesn't really do anything for the future embetterment of it. But I wouldn't consider myself a trainer in that way. I train. I like to think that I take on apprentices in-house through Kerry College, and that's how you train. I think it's a much more giving, not just giving back, but just giving even to yourself, rather than just kind of taking on 6 or 7 people for a weekend and teaching them how to do a bit. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it at all. But I think the focus needs to be on working professionals going into the trade, rather than people just kind of taking a few bits here and there, working with this guy for a month, working with that guy for a month, and kind of figuring out as you go, if you know what I mean. Because, like, from our point of view, like I know, like, me and Petra, we're 8th generation stonemasons and all, but that doesn't mean we're good. like I have 8 generations in this game, but that doesn't necessarily mean my father, my grandfather, great grandfather were good just because they did it. I know stonemasons who are 4th or 5th or 6th generations stonemasons are brilliant, but then I know other ones who's like aren't great. But I also know stonemasons who their fathers were accountants or their fathers were dentists, and they're brilliant. So just because your family are in it doesn't give you a closed shop. It's no standard of bearing. It's a lovely thing to have. It's a lovely form of tradition to have. But tradition isn't the worship of ashes, it's the preservation of fire.
Those are beautiful words. That was fantastic.
But they're true though, aren't they?
They really are. Yeah.
That's what makes them nice, because there's no nonsense. It's common sense, but common sense ain't that common anymore.
There's a saying, in America, 100 years is a long time, and in Europe, 100 miles is a long way. I've got a question. We talked a little bit about kind of the lack versus that over in Europe of kind of stone history and all that. What advice would you have for the future of stonework here in the U.S. from your perspective, from your great tradition over that way? I mean, eight generations, that's as old as our country, right? And that's just your family lineage of stone carving. So that's impressive.
We're like, come over here.
That's a hard question. That's a hard thing to give advice on, because
sure,
I don't think I have a high enough resolution on the the temperature or the market in America.
Well, it's kind of trying to grab onto the excitement that you have for the future of your industry.
Well, I suppose that's probably an easy thing. That's really I suppose that's without sounding cliche, but that's probably a lot of it is the power of positivity though as well.
Right.
I mean, like the last 10 years have been better than the previous 50. That's because people have become a lot more sensitive to using correct materials and correct ways of going about it, like for like attitude. I mean, you're not going to come in I'll give you a perfect example of how not to do, whether it's sculpture or a conservation project. The best example is the Halfpenny Bridge in Dublin city centre. Along the quays in Dublin, along the River Liffey, all the granite. It's a mixture of Wicklow and Ballyknockan granite, but also South County Dublin granite from the quarries in Ballybrew, Barnacullia, Ballyedmond-Duff. They're all like little villages that all have different quarries, and it's all lovely. It's all lovely granite, and it has this lovely profile on it. It's essentially it's just a kima recta detail, but there's a lovely detail where the keys climbs up, and it's called a horse's neck detail, where the course height goes one course higher, but the stone in between each course is one solid stone that curves up like the back of a horse's neck. It's really nice detail. But when you get to the Halfpenny Bridge, what happened? They did it up during the Celtic Tiger, I think, and it is done in Chinese granite, and it's an absolute disgrace. You know what it looks like? It looks like painted styrofoam. It just doesn't match, and it's absolutely atrocious. It's the perfect example of how to do it wrong, how to not use favorable, and sensitive materials, and that and it's just a lack of common sense. They got in material real cheap, and sure, look, we'll throw that in and it'll be fine. It won't be fine, and I think that's a good example of how it was done bad. But like Dublin City Council now, like they're taking on apprentices through Kerry College. So it goes to show there's a massive shift in sensitivity towards traditional crafts in sculpture or in stone cutting or even in stone masonry. It has to get worse before it gets better, and we've gotten past the worst stage. Yeah. So I think, but the problem is that there was a lot of bad work done. So hindsight's a great thing, isn't it? There's a lot of bad work done where you're in a position where, we better not do that again.
And in fairness to Dublin City Council, they are actually taking out some of the foreign imported stone in Dublin, and they are replacing it with Irish stone.
And the OPW.
Yeah, the OPW are doing a great job. They're taking on some of the apprentices, which is great to see.
Petra, I'm curious. In the United States, there are very few stone carvers. Bethany's one of the few members of the guild that's a woman, and I'm just wondering, is that true in Ireland too, or as well? Are you kind of an anomaly, and if so, what's that like?
Like a female stonemason?
Yeah, as a female stone carver.
So I'm actually the first stonemason registered through Sulis in Ireland in 30 years.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. So, like, the last girl last woman that was registered with Sulis, I actually have met her. She was a judge in a competition that I took part in. So that's how small, like, it actually is. And there's one more girl now. Her name is Megan. And when I was down in Tralee during my phase 6, she was over in the stone walling course. And, you know, it's great because, like, even though there's not many other females, it means that when there is, you get to meet them instantly. And, like, you have each other on Instagram or whatever. You can contact each other when you need each other. But I'd also say it's great to have Grace around at the moment. Even though she's from America, it's nice to have another female stonemason, not only like when I go to college, but like actually in the workshop. So it makes it like getting along with the lads and everything. I always get along with the lads. Have I ever almost killed one of them? No, I won't say that. But I won't.
Okay.
But it's great to have, you know, another female there that you can talk about things or reach out to her.
That's cool. We should probably call it. It's been an hour, but what a great! It's been so wonderful to hear from both of you and hear your perspective. And this is going to become a tradition with our guest. I've started planning trips to visit every guest that we have. So I'm definitely going to be trying to make a trip to Ireland in the next year or so, and I'd love to come down to.
There's a lot of nice.
guys.
There's a lot of nice operations in Ireland. Like, it's a very small country. Like, you can get from one end of it to the other in 6 hours. So it's a small place, but you know, there's a nice what's the best way?
A vibe, I'd say.
There's a nice nucleus there, you know, of good operators where good work is being done. And I think in any profession that's always going to be there, you know. And I think the respect of your peers is very important as well, you know, because we all want to do good work. Like I think it was yourself, Matthew, earlier on about America. Like, I mean, I do know from my limited knowledge that there are a lot of serious operators in America. It's just, I think it's harder to draw that together because it's such a vast expanse of a country, you know. And I've definitely learned that from, like, even with Andrew and Grace. I mean, like Grace is from San Diego and Andrew is from Chicago. Mm-hmm. So, like, it's so much harder to connect with people there.
They only met in the airport,
yeah,
which I find crazy.
Yeah,
like, we know, like, stonemasons here, you like all know of each other, or you know each other first.
Or not even that, or your father worked with his father,
yeah,
or my father worked with his uncle, or it does so much, especially like with the village we're from, like it's so much intertwined like that. You know, and even now, like, guys who've gone into the stone, like, I know him, yeah, he works down in the OPW, I did my apprenticeship with him. It's very it you know, you see all the Irish films, it's all very hoity-toity, but it actually is like that. Everyone knows everyone. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you know, so it's a very small thing, so it's a lot more there's a closeness to it, if you know what I mean. I think it's good as well because you can't really afford to do bad work because it'll get around. If you know what I mean. But it is similar to that in England as well, and Europe in general. So I think that's the one thing, and there's nothing you can do about that in the States. You know, that's probably the only negative that I would see, that because it's such a vast, you know, continent. At the end of the day, it's not just a country; it's that closeness. But it's probably there on a smaller scale. You know what I mean? State to state, if you know what I mean.
Well, within the stone carving world, I mean, Matthew can probably speak to this more since he's been around longer, but
since it
is still a pretty small.
There it is. There it is.
I'm old, and Joel has a high voice.
He's the elder podcaster, and I have the high voice. Yes.
Well, you know what, Matthew, I'm 32 now, and I can feel it getting on. I'm long enough in the toot now. If you know.
Oh man, I'm 55. You got a long way to go.
Hey, I'm 32. Hold on.
Yeah,
there is a community in America, and definitely regionally. I'm in Texas, and there's a group of us that are very tight. Known each other for years. Have worked together for decades. You know, and it's real. I can't imagine being entirely on my own, because whenever there's a project where I need a second. Even if it's just to bounce an idea off of, having someone to call is invaluable. But then also sometimes you just have a project that's too big for one person.
Actually, this is a great way to plug the Stone Carvers Guild.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have a forum. So, if you're out there trying to learn stone carving on your own and you run into problems, like, you can go and ask the forum. I mean, yeah, we have ways to make the stone carving world smaller, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And now we're expanding overseas. Although we do have 2 members soon in the American Stone Carvers Guild from England. But
I can only imagine that on the forum, like the frequently asked questions, how do I stick a piece of stone back on?
yeah.
That's like, when I started my apprenticeship, that's one of the questions you'd have. You'd take a corner off a stone. Oh, no. I tell you, Bethany, Joe, Matthew, it's been absolutely fabulous. Thanks for having us on. And it's been a really nice, fluid conversation. And I hope me and Petra haven't gone off on tangents at any point.
Oh,
but,
that's great.
I would,
great.
Petra certainly hasn't.
One thing I would say, if we were interested and you should, cause if you had time, I know you're probably trying to get through different countries, but if you had time, you should try and have a conversation with Tom Little in Kerry College.
Yeah.
He is the Irish equivalent of Joseph in, and more so with Tom. What was great about Tom, working with Tom, talking to Tom, is he has a primary source of experience of all the top stone carvers in Ireland over the last 70 years, because Tom is also a generational stone carver and stonemason. His father Ted was a stone cutter, stone carver. So like ourselves, like me and Petra have grown up around the table, because we're from a village of stonemasons and stone cutters and carvers. We've grown up around the kitchen tables and beside the fireplaces of stonemasons, stone carvers, hearing old stories and knowing them. And every couple of years, 1 or 2 of them passes away. Tom has that in him, but in even more abundance, because he knows them all now, but he knew them all then. But look, that's up to yourselves. But he's a great resource there,
and he's also the reason that him and Kerry College are the reason that the stonemasonry and stone cutters of Ireland will have a future, because he's been pushing it.
Yeah, and fair play to Kerry College. Like, they pumped a massive amount of money into that facility down in Tralee. And I tell you, if you're ever over in Ireland, I would make you go down to Kerry College and see the facility. It's a state of the art facility. They have you should see the pneumatic system they have down there. Since like I did my apprenticeship, Petra, like they've got heaters in there now and everything. Yeah. And I was like, didn't have that when I was down there. But they're continuing to invest in it as a craft, as a trade, as an art, whatever word you want to put on it. So I would look to reiterate that our best days are ahead of us at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Right, we really enjoyed the conversation.
You've been listening to the Stone Carvers Guild podcast. We hope you've enjoyed this conversation, and we hope that you will find us online at stonecarversguild.org. There you can find photos showing some of the things that we discussed today, additional information about our guest, and if you're so inclined, ways to get more involved with the Guild and our ongoing activities. And of course, if you've enjoyed this podcast, we hope that you will subscribe and rate us on the podcaster of your choice. 5 stars, please. We'll be back in a month with a new episode, so until then, keep your hammer up and your chisel sharp.
The views and opinions expressed in the podcast do not necessarily reflect that of the Stone Carvers Guild. This content is meant for informational and entertainment purposes only. Thanks for listening.